2 presents Hancock and Kelly.
And good Sunday morning to you. Welcome to Hancock and Kelly on Fox 2, where we take on the top issues of the week. On the right is John Hancock.
Top of the morning.
On the left, Michael Kelly.
Happy Sunday, it's over.
Almost. I'm Andy Banker. We are just 2 days from Election Day, November 5th. On the agenda, Fox 2 hosts the first and only televised one-on-one debate in the race for the U.S. Senate for Missouri. Republican Josh Hawley versus Democrat Lucas Kunce. What a night it was. Also, what about the race for Congress between St. Louis County Republican Ann Wagner, looking for a 7th term, and getting a challenge from a well-known St. Louisan, Democrat Ray Hartman? Our quote of the week is from a race that's really heating up. Kara Spencer trades jabs with Tashara Jones in the St. Louis mayor's race. We won't get to vote on that one, though, until spring. Finally, I'm going to try to pin John and Michael down on their election predictions, Tuesday's winners and losers. Also, the word garbage may be a decider in the race for the White House, plus the governor's race in Missouri, and an under-the-radar issue being decided in St. Louis County. But we begin with our debate. Debate night in Missouri, the race for the U.S. Senate on Fox 2, with our Halloween night debate between Republican incumbent Josh Hawley and his Democrat challenger, Lucas Kunce.
Thank you to Nick Starr for hosting this debate. Thank you to the reporters for being here. You know, it takes a little bit of courage to share a stage with Lucas Kunce after he shot a reporter last week. I guess he wants to go out with a bang.
You know, the big difference between Josh Hawley and I is when I was at this event and I saw Ryan get hurt, I immediately went over to him. I stopped what I was doing. I took out the medical kit. I put a bandage on him. He was able to keep reporting. Josh Hawley, when literally hundreds of people were being hurt at his place of work, did the exact opposite thing, right? As a Marine, we go towards danger. We help people out when they're hurt.
The two sparred for an hour in their only one-on-one TV debate, as I mentioned, right here in this studio, broadcast live on our Nexstar TV stations across the state of Missouri. Both candidates have been emailing supporters, citing polls that show this is anybody's race. Who got the better of this debate, John? And do you buy the candidates' claims that anybody could still win? Is it up in the air?
No, Josh Hawley's going to win. Kunce needed a knockout here, and he didn't get it. He performed better than I thought he would, but he needed more than he got, and so by virtue of that, I think Hawley won the debate. He's going to win the election. That
little sparring right there that we showed, that exchange, that was about the Kunce incident where he was at a gun range and shrapnel hit a reporter who was covered. He had a minor graze wound on his arm. But he flipped that to January 6th on Josh Hawley. Was that a moment that John said he lacked and didn't score?
No, I thought that was a great moment for Lucas Kunce. And he had several more. And Josh Hawley kept going back to the shooting incident. It seemed a bit childish. Josh Hawley benefited from the fact that this debate was on Halloween. He had said throughout his campaign he wanted to have a conversation with Missouri, debates. He played it out all the way to Halloween. So the lack of exposure and the fact that a lot of people have already voted probably puts Lucas Kunce's great performance at a disadvantage. And I think right now in Missouri it's awfully hard to beat an incumbent.
It wasn't that great of a, I mean, did he really outshine Josh Hawley?
No, and he wouldn't answer the question directly asked 3 times of who he was voting for president. Now, here's a guy who's introducing himself to the voters of Missouri in a real sense. I mean, he kind of came out of nowhere. And Shirley asked him several times. Hawley asked him, who are you going to vote for president? He refused to answer the question. That's just not.
Shirley Washington even asked him, Fox 2 Shirley Washington, does that mean you might vote for Trump? And he wouldn't even say no to that.
It was a really weak moment for him, and I don't get it. He's running as a Democrat on the Democratic side. He could have said something along the lines of, look, vote for president is a personal thing for me. I can understand why people would vote for either of these folks. They're politicians. At the end of the day, I'm running for a Democrat. I'm running as a Democrat, and I'm supporting Kamala Harris. Simple.
That's what he should have said.
He didn't.
He didn't. He needs to hire Kelly. maybe next time. We'll get him next time.
That'll help him win there, right there.
Right.
There's another race that hasn't gotten a lot of attention in spite of a couple of very high-profile candidates. Democrat Ray Hartman is challenging 6th-term Republican Congresswoman Ann Wagner in a district that includes parts or all of Warren, Franklin, St. Louis, and St. Charles counties.
I want to make their lives better, easier, more affordable. I want to make sure the government's working for them and that they don't feel like they're working for government.
I think we got to work across the aisle on immigration. I think we have to do it on women's issues, everything. And I don't see that happening.
Hartman is a former longtime panelist on the St. Louis PBS show Donnybrook and a founder of the former Riverfront Times newspaper. Wagner's been in office for 12 years after serving as a U.S. ambassador in the Bush administration. She brings up Hartman drawing more than $5,000 a month's pay from his campaign funds. Federal law does allow non-incumbent candidates to draw limited campaign pay. Hartman says he's retired and to run for Congress, he needs a full-time job, and I guess this is it. He says it is a full-time job, Michael. How do you see all of this playing out?
Well, he's not the only person who's done that. Cori Bush and others have done that in the past, paid themselves a salary. Look, I think it's great that Ray Hartman, a name that's a kind of a household name, is out there making the case for Democrats. Unfortunately, he's doing it in a Republican district against an incumbent. And it's almost impossible to beat an incumbent in these gerrymandered districts that we're in. But I appreciate his effort.
He's campaigning hard on abortion rights. It's not enough to swing this?
No, and I've had dinner with both of these people. I like them both, and but Ann Wagner's going to win this election. You know, if Ray wants to make money campaigning, he ought to become Cori Bush's bodyguard, because you know there's big money in that, I hear.
How about that one?
No comment.
All right. It seems like forever ago since Republican Mike Kehoe and Democrat Crystal Quade won their party's nominations in the Missouri governor's race. That was just back in August. Aside from a few TV ads, this race has hardly been hot and heavy. Kehoe has enjoyed a lead in polls throughout, ranging from 10 to 19%. John, why so little sizzle? This is a governor's race. We have a total abortion ban in Missouri, and then we have Amendment 3 to lift it on the ballot. Shouldn't that put some wind in the Democrat sails?
No, it's a plus 10 Republican state by party identification. You've got the entire statewide Democrat ticket that really has raised no money. There are 5 Democratic state senators who have more money than any of their statewide elected office seekers. Mike Kehoe I work for Mike Kehoe, so full disclosure, I'm happy he's going to win. He's a friend. He's going to be a great governor. I'm excited for him, and it's going to be a big win.
Is this a failure of the state party apparatus? I mean, shouldn't there be a little more?
No, this is a product of
behind the.
No, this is
nominee?
a product of the changing of the state of Missouri. And John's right; it is a plus 10 Republican state. Having said that, there was potentially a pathway for Crystal Quade here, and that was somebody else needed to come out of that primary. Mike Kehoe put together a coalition that had some non-traditional folks supporting him, including some folks via labor. If we would have gotten a more divisive Jay Ashcroft, somebody who's embraced that MAGA lane, I think Crystal Quade could have been in a place. But unfortunately, in this state, she's made a great campaign, and hopefully she'll get close and maybe pull off a miracle.
I want to touch on a big ballot issue in St. Louis County, which has fueled an attempt to remove Republican Dennis Hancock from the county council. If approved, Proposition C will allow the county council to have its own legal representation, its own attorneys, apart from county attorneys controlled by Democrat County Executive Sam Page, appointed by him. Members of the council and Page have clashed over major issues in recent years, seeing the issue of shared legal representation as a conflict of interest. In August, there was a failed attempt to remove Hancock from the county council just before he cast the deciding vote to put Proposition C on the ballot. Hancock has apologized for trying to hire his stepdaughter as a county paid assistant, something he says he did not know was against the law. That was the issue that drove getting him off the council, but the timing with this Proposition C issue, Michael, didn't seem to be much of an accident, right? They did not want this to go on the ballot. At least Sam Page didn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, like most things in St. Louis County right now, this whole issue's turned into a circus. Let's be clear what Proposition C is about. It's about whether or not the legislative branch ought to have its own attorney. On its face right there, why shouldn't they? The Board of Aldermen has its own attorney. Why should they have to use the same attorney as the mayor? That's the argument that's being made. The underlying issue here is this is to deal with Sam Page and this relationship that exists in this county that's not partisan. It's divided by personality, and that's the county executive. I don't know how that gets solved and how things get better until that gets solved.
Do you think this passes?
Oh, yeah.
Do you? And the reason I wonder is because I don't know if voters can really wrap their heads around it. Like,
well,
you can read the Proposition C and you may not know what the heck that means.
The principle here is very simple, Andy. You don't mess with Hancock. So what happens here is the county
Dennis
council.
Hancock or John Hancock.
Yeah, no relation, but I like him. The thing here is the county council doesn't want Sam Page's lawyer to be their lawyer, and they put this on the ballot. It's going to pass, and let's put the popcorn on.
All right, up next on Hancock and Kelly, speaking of the popcorn we needed for this one, the race for the White House and the growing significance of the word garbage.